Hello?
I can't hear anything either.
Yeah, I can't hear the chambers.
Let's send Josh a message.
Yeah, I just did as well.
You did?
I did.
Okay. Let's send Josh a message.
Yeah, I just did as well.
You did?
I did.
Okay.
Mike Conquest.
Let's send Josh a message.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, I just did as well.
Laura Sauer.
You did?
I did.
John Marshall.
Here. All right, so we have a quorum tonight with 4 members here and 1 on Zoom. We don't have a
Yes,
full
I'm
board.
Yeah, I just did as
We have made
well.
a workshop
You
tonight
did?
I did.
so that, but if you want to be heard by the full board, you have the option to delay your request until the next meeting. You come forward to the podium, please do so at that time. Approval minutes. Everybody got minutes in their packet? Any questions, deletions, corrections, additions?
I didn't see anything. I'll make approve unless somebody else saw anything.
Motion to approve?
second it.
Second. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Rich Day.
Yes.
Mike Conquest.
Yes.
Chad Jeffries. Staying. John Marshall.
Yes.
Dan Roby.
Yes.
Okay, we have old business tonight, 14-06. Sanjay Patel, petitioner owner, requested site development update. Purpose is Duncan facade change at 10970 Broadway. Please state your name and address for the record.
Name is Peter Paraskis. I'm the architect on the project. 14607 Oak Park Avenue, Oak Forest, Illinois.
Yeah, what would you like to do, sir?
Just give you a brief oversight on this project. This project is just over 10 years old. And under the requirements of the franchise agreement, they're required to remodel every 10 years. So this building is, it's an all building. We're really not touching any of the masonry. We're not altering any of the masonry. The only thing we're doing is upgrading the 3 existing monolith towers with some more improved material. The old one at the time was just wood siding. This will all be hardy board. So it's a cement fiber board, and we're going to be putting some orange canopies and some pink and white stripes. These are metal strips to pick up the traditional colors of Duncan, which is the magenta and or pink, magenta, and orange. And that's pretty much it. Redo the menu boards to the new digital menu board system. And that's really about it.
Okay, thank you. Josh?
Petitioner is requesting site development update approval for a facade change to the Dunkin' Donuts located at 10970 Broadway. The original site development was approved at the February 10th, 2024 Plan Commission. Building filed for permits through the building department this year. One permit for updated signage going from Dunkin' Donuts to simply Dunkin'. The other permit was for interior work. During the remodel, they started to remove facade to change the appearance of the building, which was not the description of work being performed on either permit. Due to the requirements of the designs along the Broadway corridor, Planning and Zoning's recommendation was that the project come back to the Plan Commission to seek approval. While looking into the previous approval for the site, it was also discovered that the structure is supposed to have a bike rack with additional lighting that appears to have never been installed. Planning's recommendation is while the facade work appears to fall within the guidelines, any approvals need to include the previously required bike rack.
Okay, thank you. Bring it to the board for any questions or comments. Mike?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not being accusatory, but the bike rack was originally planned. And shame on us for it going so far without catching it, but same respect goes for you guys. What happened to the bike rack?
You know, I feel like I'm ambushed. It's the first I heard about it. The owners didn't let me know about it, but I don't know, it was probably overlooked. I don't know. Could have been back when supply chain issues. I don't know, but we'll be more than happy to accommodate it.
Okay, because sometimes stuff like that raises a red flag and I wanted it to be addressed.
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't have a problem with the sign. I don't know that I'm crazy about the red, the pinkish red striping, but
They did bring samples for you guys to actually see in person. If you guys want to take that, you can see the colors and samples. Just pick it up.
All right,
So that's just an accent piece that goes through the middle? Yes. Okay. Every turn of the thing, every third layer.
Can you flip your piece around?
There we go. Yeah, I've got a couple questions. So we've got pictures of, right, the existing building as it sits now, which we all know, we drive by it every day. And we also understand the, you know, with franchising and updating, right? So we've worked with other businesses that are franchises. And typically they bring us, I mean, if this is something that the company is going, okay, this is going to be our new look, right? We're going to rebrand ourselves as Dunkin'. Here's our new look. Typically we have pictures of what that new look looks like. And all we have is, we're going to paint it China doll. We're going to do, I mean, I don't know what China doll is.
Well, the portion, it's really the same color. Right now, it's like it's like a linen white today.
Right.
So China doll is the same white. I didn't realize that you guys needed actual color samples, but
And I don't
still a
necessarily,
white.
but I would think that there's been some Dunkins that have been remodeled in this fashion already somewhere, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, I would just think if we had a vision, we know what it looks like now. If we had a picture of, here's an example of what it's going to look like when it's done, because other franchisees have done this already. I think that would be helpful for us to get like kind of a full scope of what we're looking at.
We did render the towers though. I mean, everything else stays the same. It's only the siding and the pink and white stripes that we rendered on the existing.
Right, and I've got that. And then you're saying the China doll is basically just the same color. You're just going to repaint the
Right.
metal
It's just-
roofing?
It's just it's in the white family. I mean, you probably wouldn't even know the difference if we painted it, because the existing color that's on that ephes today is 10 years old. It's faded. So if I was to show you what it is, you'd say, well, why does that look whiter than what it was? Well, it's 10 years. I think
Well, that
it's
makes me
faded.
much happier, because for some reason in my head, I was thinking China doll was going to be some color of that pink accent that you guys have.
No, no. No, John?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see it.
Is this color scheme all based on what corporate wants?
Yeah, that's their
It's
typical.
consistent and Ron from the footprint, right?
Yes.
No
It's-
difference?
No.
Yeah, I don't, like, once again, we understand that working with franchises and corporations,
so
right?
you're doing exactly.
That changes. I don't have a problem with the new siding and the pink and white. I'm glad you've clarified what the repaint on the metal roofing was, because I was didn't know what to make of the color name. So yeah, I don't have any problem with trying to keep up to date with what you guys have got corporate wise.
Okay, Rich, anything?
No, I'm good on the changes. I've seen in the marketplace already what's been going on.
My only question would be, in the staff report, they brought up additional lighting, and we haven't addressed that yet. What's the deal with the lighting?
From the original approval, the lighting is supposed to go over the bike racks to illuminate the bike racks, which are on the north side of the building. Right now in that area, they just have some planters. They've got some bushes in there.
If they put in a bike rack and light it up, everybody's happy, right?
That's what was required. when
Okay.
we Initially went through the. approval
You're gonna
process.
agree to do that? You guys
You
gonna
guys
agree to
have
do it? All
Sure,
right.
do you have a specific, no, you have a specific drawing where you want it?
If you want to contact me, I can send it to you. I'll send you details.
Okay, anything further?
Yeah, is the pink and white, is that mandatory by Duncan?
Yeah, if you notice, that's on their sign, like now that you have Dunkin', everybody sees the orange, but you'll notice the hyphen mark is in magenta. It's the same color as that.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with the sign, and I understand that. I guess when this is in kind of a restricted, area on Broadway, the design area and everything. And in my travels through some of, North Carolina and areas with older towns, and I don't see a lot of pink. That's why we were always big in the brick, and I would prefer to leave it alone and just put the sign up. I don't think that pink and white adds anything to you. I don't, but that's just my opinion. I'm one of a few, so.
Can I weigh in?
Go ahead.
I don't have any problem with the sign, as Mike had said. Even the siding as it was, I guess they're just replacing the same colors pretty much, except for this pink accent, which I have nothing that shows the pink accent in a color form. I don't have a rendering. So I don't even know what that would look like in total.
Was provided. Yes, I think.
For the restoration.
Dan, does your front page have the north elevation at the bottom?
I guess it's just easier to see a picture of it as opposed to try to look at this black and white with Duncan on it and then try to figure out where the pink bars go in at and what ultimately that would look like. We don't even know what that would look like if you did that, this pink and pink bar scheme that you have.
So it doesn't have- can you project this?
The digital copy of it?
No.
Okay, no, unfortunately, I can only get it.
So I don't know. I think if you were just changing the sign and that was it, we probably wouldn't even be having this discussion. But something's changing with that facade on those towers. And we're introducing pink into it. And I just don't have, I'm at a disadvantage. I don't know what that would look like without a rendering of.
Oh.
You see, certainly don't want to create something hideous looking.
It's less
We
than,
worked so hard, trying to get it to this point. And now it seems like we're going backwards.
I don't know if you have any means to see us, but I could tell you that the pink stripes on the towers are probably less than 1% of that area.
You have to have the pink bars,
Pardon me?
and you leave the pink bars out.
No,
I'm sorry.
no, it's part of their image. It's part of their package.
Well, I don't think Duncan Corporate should be dictating to us what a building should look like when it's an architecturally controlled area. But that's up to all the other members. I'm not supporting this. We had another issue with regard to the menu board and the speaker. Mr. President, are you addressing that then?
We haven't got to it yet, but if you have some questions or comments about it, go ahead.
Are you changing the location of the menu board and the speaker?
Yes, we're just shifting it back half a parking space because the parking spaces, when it was originally designed for, were not really on the 20-foot spacing.
What will that do to the stacking situation that you have there, which in the morning is terrible?
Really doesn't affect a half a parking space.
Is it making it shorter or longer? The chute?
Well, the key issue is always from the time the menu board, a person places an order to the pickup window. And that one now has increased by a half a car length. And with the new system that they use with it's on the go ordering and the way their menu system is set up, their amount of time that they generate today as opposed to what it was 10 years ago is like 90 seconds. It's only a minute and a half because the products are already made up. It's primarily beverages. So that doesn't affect the stacking. In fact, it should kind of shorten it up.
Well, I can tell you by experience of going there, it's only made it worse. The stacking has gotten worse all the way out to Broadway now at some point. So to make some type of changes in the chute and the pickup and delivery of the product has a direct impact, I think, on stacking. It probably needs to be reviewed.
What would the board?
Well,
All I have, Mr. President.
give us 1 second here. All right, so what's, we have Mr. Roy Haley's opinion. What's everybody else think?
What's the speaker issue?
I don't know.
Is there a speaker issue, Josh, or, sound?
I'm not sure offhand. Mr. Haley, what was the speaker issue exactly?
If the speaker is going to move and the menu board's moving, it's going to shorten the chute, causing more stacking, in my opinion, unless we take a look at this. This probably needs a full site development review, in my opinion.
Well, I don't think we're changing the sign and doing a remodel. I don't think we can redo the site plan, right?
Well, they've started the changes
So
from what we initially approved.
from my understanding, and Mr. Iraq, please chime in. From my understanding, I cannot force a site development without
That's-
it being pulled.
That would be correct.
Flat work and facades don't require permits.
I would agree.
The issue we had on this one is the missing bike rack with lighting, and then because it is the Broadway corridor, that is basically a protected corridor within the city when it comes to designs. That's the reason I was able to bring it in. It was presented one way at site development. To alter that facade means the approvals for the way it was presented no longer apply. They have to come back for an update. But since the city does not require flat work permits, I don't think I can.
So we're just stuck with, they can reconfigure that at any time.
Unfortunately.
Well, I think bad stacking affects your business more than it affects the city, correct? Are you guys, do you feel you have a stacking problem?
I'll have the owner address it.
No.
Okay, how many cars, in the morning, I haven't been to Dunkin' Donuts in the morning much. How many cars you have in line?
State your name and address for the record.
Sanjay Patel, what's 7345 Pershing, Cherville, Indiana.
Okay, how many cars do you average have in line? When you,
We got us around 12 to 15 car from all the window to the after the speaker. And I think that's moving a half car back is a helpful lot for the line stack up and outside the street. Because we adding one more car from window to speaker.
so 12 to 15 cars in line. you know, on a busy morning? That's a busy morning.
Yeah, but a car
Okay.
going is our average is what, 90 seconds?
Okay, and how far does 15 cars put you out on the other side of the parking lot? Does it get to your entrance, or I know it goes down, it goes around a corner
No,
and it comes back?
never. I never see that many line all the way to outside the parking.
I have.
Okay. So okay, so it doesn't block,
Really,
you're
not-
saying it doesn't, you're saying it doesn't block your entrance? When you have 15 cars in line, where you come in off that frontage road there, it doesn't block your entrance? It does, if somebody wants to come in and go to the store, it doesn't block your entrance?
Not really.
Not really, it's not really an answer.
Yes, it does. It goes all the way out to Broadway.
Yeah, sometime on Friday,
No, every morning.
All right, we gotta let the petitioner speak, Mr.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, you have an opinion and he's got one too, and so, you know.
Well, it's not an opinion, it's a fact. I go there every morning for my 4-year-old grandson. And I'm sitting out on almost to Broadway.
Right?
Okay,
The
let's-
distance from window to entrance is not gonna change.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, and I'm not in the business, I'm not in the Dunkin' Donuts business. But if the theory is that if we can get one more car from the speaker and the ordering point up towards the window, you say that's gonna improve the speed of getting cars through.
Yeah, right.
I mean, once again,
It gives more time for the person who's preparing the order. Because just use common sense. If the pickup window and the speaker post was 1 car away, it ain't going anywhere. But the further back you can get it, there's a maximum also, because then if it gets too far back, that doesn't work either. But
I can see the rationale in it, right? There's that kind of sweet spot, right? And I can see the rationale where if you get cars past that speaker and past that ordering point, and you get people inside now that are actually putting that order together so that you can get it out, that might speed up, the pace of play.
At least it's an improvement. I mean,
Yeah.
they have the theory down, they've done the research, so it
Well,
should essentially reduce stacking somewhat.
And if it's a half a car space, we're kind of caught in a limbo, right? Where we're not really getting a car in and not getting a car out. We're just sort of got a wasted space there that we can't do anything with.
well, we're kind of limited because you don't want to have the speaker post and the menu on the curve, because people can't order on a curve. It's very difficult. So that's about as far back as you can at least have the person, when he's coming around the turn, around the curve, he's queued up perpendicular or parallel to that menu board speaker. Because if you pull them too far back, especially on a curve, you won't be able to communicate properly. So that's why it's that kind of a, generally speaking, a half a car space further back. Now, if we all had smart cars, it'd be great. I mean, we could pack them all in, but this is what we're working with.
I think it's kind of like at Dairy Queen. I think maybe there's 3 cars spacing there, but same sort of thing. And by the time you get up, sometimes you gotta wait a bit, but sometimes it's right there. So,
I really don't think it's the plan commission's position where they put their speaker in their line.
Yeah.
I mean, if your stacking's too much and people say, I ain't waiting for a donut, I'm going to Speedway, buy some dry donuts, I mean, I don't think it's our job to run your business. Our job is traffic flow. And if it's blocking Broadway, then we have a problem. I don't see it blocking Broadway. I haven't seen, and I believe Mr. O'Haley that it comes out the driveway.
I'm a regular user. I'm a frequent flyer. I see it all the time.
I should let the board know that one of the additional improvements on this plan, when we remodeled it, is there's now an additional door on the east side, which allows that if there's somebody who's putting in 80 dozen donuts, 14 sandwiches, whatever, they can pull them up ahead, and then they'll be able to bring the product out through the east side door and hand it off to them, just like we've seen McDonald's do or everybody else does. So the cars aren't really gonna be stuck there waiting at the window anymore, if that's such a big concern. Because now all they're gonna do is say, why don't you just pull up, we'll pull it up to you. Just like Culver's does it, everybody does it now.
Go to the front where the new door is. That lane there is big enough for 2 cars?
Well, they're not gonna go all the way around. You got a picture, all they need to really do is get up one car. I mean, you're not gonna have 5 cars stacked up in
No, I
front.
get that, yeah.
Yeah,
They still have a room to go.
I just didn't know if it was big enough to have a car go around it.
Yeah.
yeah, there's a bypass lane all the way around the lot.
Okay, well, I think what you're doing with the drive-through should be okay. I guess the question is the pink stripes.
I don't like them, but I don't know that I want to sit here and stand in the way of stopping this. I'll make you a deal. You put in the lights, you put in the bike racks, I'll walk away from the stripes.
Well, that was a given. That was a given. I mean, that's why I felt ambushed. I thought, I didn't know anything about this, but yeah, sure, that would be done.
It's a small enough piece where it's just an accent.
Yeah,
You see it anywhere else. If we drove down the street and said, what is Dunkin' doing here to their corporate image?
Yeah.
It'd be a bigger thing, but
Mike pulled it up. It's very minimal.
yeah.
Yeah,
it's not-
I
And it's
brought
not
my
all the way
iPad.
across, it's staggered.
Yeah.
I think it's a big deal.
I'll be okay.
Okay, well, I'm telling you right now, if I ride my bike down there and I don't have a place to park it, there's gonna be trouble. So, that's all I got to say.
Well, Chairman, as long as you don't have an electric bike, we'll be fine.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, Chair, will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve petition 14-06 with the addition of the bike rack and lighting.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Do they have to come before us again? Okay, so I was just gonna say, if they did, I'd like to see a rendering, but that's okay. That's all right.
Okay, before we call the vote, petitioner has to realize that you gotta get 4 yeses for it to pass, even though there's only 5 people here tonight. You still have to have a majority of the plan commission members. So with that being said, call the roll.
Rich Day,
Yes.
Dan Rohaley,
No,
Mike Conquest,
Yes,
Chad Jeffers.
Yes.
John Marshall.
Yes, you have passed.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
watch those hot pink.
All right, new business, 25-10, Lanier Homes of Indiana LLC petitioner Vivian Kyleman, owner, requested a workshop, single-family residential PUD. Location is northwest corner of Iowa Street and East 121st. So a workshop, the purpose of a workshop is to have the potential petitioner give us a thumbnail of what they're thinking about doing. And the staff and the members will comment on what they like, what they don't like, suggestions. And because this is kind of a public meeting, I will allow anybody in the audience that has an interest in this project to please come to the podium when called upon to state your opinion or ask your question. So with that being said, please state your name and address for the record.
There it is. Good evening. My name is Todd Leith. I'm an attorney. My office is located at 2700 Valparaiso Street, Valparaiso, Indiana. I'm here on behalf of the petitioner in this matter, Lanier Homes of Indiana. Lanier is bringing a team that's going to walk through the project in much greater detail. Todd Clevin Luke Fricky and Andre Hademai is here to represent Lennar. And we also have Rich Olson from Gary Weber Associates. He's the land planner. He kind of laid out the sketch of the community, the subdivision, if you will. And Madeline Larmer from Mackey Consultants is the professional design engineer who will be involved probably at the next step, certainly in greater detail as this community takes shape and then turns into an engineered plat. So our goal, as you indicated, is to kind of give you a thumbnail of the concept plan. This is anticipated to be a plan unit development so that we have 3 different styles or types of homes. So it's a mixed residential development. We don't have one, if you will, cookie cutter lot size, cookie cutter types of homes. And that is significant, in my opinion, to justify and frankly calls out for the use of the plan unit development to give us the flexibility, to give you the flexibility to come up with design standards, requirements, conditions, but also gives us the flexibility to have those different home styles and types. This is the second of the steps involved. We had the pre-application meeting. This is the workshop meeting. The next step, if we move along, is to come back with a preliminary plan and have a PUD ordinance. We'll conduct a hearing, or you'll conduct the hearing. We'll receive comments and off to the city council for the ordinance. I'm happy to work with Mr. Irack on the PUD ordinance part of it, but I'm going to ask Todd Clevin to come forward now with Lennar to talk about the community, a little bit about Lennar and our goals for this 164 acres. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, fellow Plan Commission members. For the record, and any of those that may not know me, as Todd Leith indicated, my name is Todd Clevin. I am the Vice President of Land for Lennar. Our offices reside at 1700 East Gulf Road, Suite 11 in Schaumburg, Illinois. I'm a Crown Point resident myself, born and raised in Crown Point, residing at 250 East 123rd Avenue, East 123rd Place, Crown Point. With me is Luke Fricky, our entitlements manager. Also, Andre Atami, he's our acquisition manager. And we have Rich Olson, our land planner, and Madeline from Mackey Consultants, our civil engineer. I'm in front of you this evening to present the concept plan of a piece of property that I feel we're very lucky. And when I say we, I mean us as a team, the city and Lennar, and even the residents of Crown Point, because as I get into the details, you'll see where I feel all the stars are aligning, and this might be a win-win for everybody. It's 160 acres that resides on the northwest corner of 121st Avenue in Iowa. In my lifetime, it was known as the Boondocks, but now there's more traffic at that intersection since Taft went in. And I feel that it's going to expedite the road improvements for one, mainly at that intersection. Not only that, with that sewer treatment plant that is just right around the corner and possibly will come online, I'm told you'll be able to flush the toilet in 3 years. We'll also bring utilities to that intersection from the south. This project could possibly finally loop the water main for the city of Crown Point on the east side of I-65 by bringing this piece of property to fruition. However, my concern is we can't wait for that sewer treatment plant to be up and running. So we're working very closely with your staff, as well as already engaged Commonwealth. We entered a contract with Commonwealth engineers. They're studying how we can expedite the utilities to that area. I have engaged the property owner to the north about possibly cooperating with him and utilizing some of his property, not only to bring utilities through his parcel, but if the numbers pencil out right, we're able to figure this out, maybe even bring Mississippi Street from 113th Avenue to our northwest corner. And we also will continue Mississippi through our project, ultimately bringing Mississippi to 231 that much quicker. So we do have a small PowerPoint here. I'm going to go ahead and run through this. As Todd Leith indicated, Lennar is a nationwide home builder. It was established in 1954, and last year we surpassed over 80,000 homes. We are one of 40 divisions, as I indicated, residing out of Schaumburg, Illinois, in the process of relocating and opening up a satellite office for Northwest Indiana. with a Crown Point address just on the north side of Broadway. And last year, we closed over 700 homes in Northwest Indiana. Our goal is to expand eastward into Porter County, LaPorte County, ultimately Southwest Michigan, hoping to get to around 1,000 homes out of that satellite office. Since Lennar entered Northwest Indiana, we have planted our flag in all the communities that you see here, from Portage to Valparaiso, Lowell, Indiana, Cedar Lake, St. John, formerly Crown Point with Heather Ridge, and also Winfield. And now this is a flagship community that we'd like to call a fully amenitized community. We do have Rich Olson here that'll get into the details of the actual plan, but this one will feature a pool and a pool house for the residents that reside within. Some of those communities that I mentioned were Rose Garden, Astoria, Heather Ridge, Aylesworth, Preston Trails, Brookside, Iron Gate, Kingston Ridge, Spring Run, Swanson Trails, and now Beaker Farms. This is an aerial photograph highlighting the boundary of the property. Again, it does reside at the northwest corner of 121st Avenue that runs east and west, and Iowa Street that runs north and south. We also show the future wastewater treatment plant here, and just to the east, about 1.5 miles, is the new $70 million Taft Middle School. On the west side of 65, you have an Althoff community known as Hamilton Square, Walker Point, and then you have your most recent approved project, the Fountains, which consists of the townhomes. To the southwest, we have Pine Hill and Schmidt Farms. And to the south of that intersection, you have obviously your new hospital and the light industrial and cold storage facility that's being built. This is a picture of the property as it currently resides today, looking northwesterly from the intersection of 121st and Iowa. And this is the current zoning around the property. As you can see, this property is highlighted in red. It is currently zoned agricultural. To the north, it's zoned R1 and 1A, and also to the west, it's R1 and 1A. You know, I am entering my 30th year of doing this, cutting my teeth with land development right behind this said podium. And I've listened to the temperature of the administrations over the years and do understand the concern with multifamily. Please know we are not proposing any multifamily on the 160 acres. It is solely single family, mixed product of single family, which we'll get into, and also all owner occupied. As Mr. Leith indicated, this will be a PUD. The benefits of a PUD, as you know, the ordinance is written for this specific property and basically acts as a Bible and governs the property for its perpetual eternity. The best thing about the PUD is all the architecture that you see will also be attached to that PUD. So as opposed to just straight up zoning, I could sit here, sell the property, and another builder could come in and build something different. With this being a PUD, the architecture must be enforced and must be met that falls within those guidelines of that PUD. So all the architecture that you see or that will ultimately be approved will follow that ordinance and will have to be erected in that fashion. The density to the west with Hamilton Square does surpass 5.92 units per acre. The lowest density in the area is Heather Ridge at 2.8 units per acre. Again, we are proposing all single family, 456 home sites with an actual density of 2.78. So this would be one of the lowest density in the area of that vicinity, not to mention within the city of Crown Point. How are we able to achieve that? Because of the open space, the pool house, and the walking paths that we're proposing. We do try to follow the new trend. It is the smaller home sites. The residents do typically prefer to walk around the community and have more shared communities and shared amenities and lessen the burden of their actual maintenance on their home site themselves. We are proposing a pool house, 2 parks, walking trails, ponds, and overlooks. As I did mention, this project will consist of Mississippi Street. That is an unloaded road following your right-of-way width and the back to curb. We are proposing that along the west side of our property, and we would not be fronting that road whatsoever. So the homes that would reside along that would actually be backing up to it. I'm going to have Rich Olson come up here and actually talk about how we came up with the configuration. As Todd Leith mentioned, it is not a cookie-cutter community. We typically do not like to do that. We like to preserve the actual topography and build and cut the actual home sites that fit the way the property flows. So at this time, I'll have I'll ask Rich to come up and speak about the actual concept plan, and we'll close it out with some other key topics. Thank you, Rich.
Good evening. My name is Rich Olson. I'm with Gary R. Weber Associates, 402 West Liberty Drive in Wheaton, Illinois. And we prepared the concept plan for your consideration tonight. First of all, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to come before you and talk about the plan. Hopefully get some good feedback as we start this process. We've been working on this behind the scenes for quite some time, but it's new to you. And we certainly really want to work with you as we move forward best we can here. What I thought I would do is just very briefly walk through some of the planning factors and existing conditions that we use to help prepare the plan, and then walk you a little bit through the plan itself. We look at all sorts of things when we're looking at a community. On the site itself, we look at the topography, we look at existing roads, which both vehicular and pedestrian access to the site. We look at things like if there's any natural areas on the site worth preserving, trees, those sort of things. We also look at surrounding conditions of the site, as well as community goals. And some of the community goals do play a factor in on this site, which will be a helpful tool for both parties. On this particular site, the drainage, it's a fairly flat site, but it does drain to two specific points up in the northeast corner, west corner of the site, drains to that point, and a portion of the site then drains to this area on the eastern portion of the site. As was stated, we got really nice vehicular access on the south as well as on the east of the property. So we got really good visual points of accessing the site from that standpoint. It's pretty much a undeveloped piece of land currently being farmed. There's nothing really of note on it, so it's a pretty straightforward site from a standpoint of preserving any natural areas. There really isn't any. It's being farmed. One of the main considerations of the site, other than where we put the detention, is there is a transportation plan that you guys have, and I've got a slide specifically for that. But that transportation plan definitely contemplates the extension of Mississippi, and it's a major component that will get this a half mile up the road then to connect to the north of the site, which is a really nice benefit to this particular piece of property that helps everybody out from that standpoint. The site plan is really, really nice. We are proposing 3 different product types, so 3 different home styles, which is really nice because that allows us to get 3 different buyers. It makes the plan sell faster, so it's more successful. It gets the construction in and out quicker. We have a smaller site, a medium site, and a larger site. The larger sites are located here in the Medallion series. And we have the Horizon series that runs up through the center of the site. And then what we'll be buffering against the future Mississippi is our smallest home site, which is located in this area right here. Our main entry points off of, one of them is off of Iowa Street right here. And both entry points, the other one that's also on the southern end of the site, both entries come in and terminate into this central space that we've created here, which is a nice amenitized space. And of course, we're in the beginning stages of what we're going to put in there, but we're definitely contemplating and going to be designing, if we're allowed to move forward, a pool house and pool in this location. So coming off the main entrance, you're going to terminate right into this green space park, which will also have both active and passive recreational components to it. It's going to have a trail system that connects all the way down around to another park that's located in this section here off of the terminus of the southern entry feature area. And of course, there's homes that back up to this space, as well as all the roadway systems connect straight into this area. This will be a very lively, very community oriented space. I think it's really kind of unique that you can actually, design. Lot of spaces are not square, and sometimes those are the hardest to design. But in this particular case, because of the detention and how we were able to design it, the roadway patterns and the entrances, we're able to create this 8.5 acre amenity space that everybody has immediate access to from all locations of the site, which I think is really cool. This down here will be a play component. So you're going to have a tot lot. You're going to have those sort of things integrated in with the trail systems. We might be incorporating a bunch of different amenitized areas with the club pool house area up here. The main focus there will of course be the pool aspect, and which will be a really cool spot for these people to enjoy in the space itself. The site does also incorporate large, heavy landscape buffering virtually around the entire site. There's a greenway space of 50 feet that will be berming and heavily landscaping all the way around the site in this direction. We have contemplated a future access going north, as well as out to the future Mississippi extension that you see in that spot. And I'll just leave you with this, and we feel this is a great opportunity for us and for you folks, and we're just tickled to death to be here and hopefully be able to move forward. Appreciate it.
Before we get into product, I'll just wrap up real quick as far as the win-win situation I was referring to, not just specifically in Mississippi, but also the utilities and the fact that the property was annexed in, I believe, in 1993. It was an 11th hour overnight annexation. Those that you were around, a very smart move that the city did, and I commend you for that. People have since then chose or petitioned to de-annex, but this property does reside in the city limits, and I think it did come into the city in 1993. I don't know if there's an obligation or that it has surpassed, but we do not have utilities out there yet. So Lennar is willing to expedite the utilities from the north to this site. And as I indicated, if and when the sewer treatment plant comes online in 3 years, my goal would be to be able to flush a toilet at the same time. So you're going to be producing about 350,000 gallons per day. That's with the peaking factor of 310 gallons per day per home. We do have our engineer here. We have some concept, or my vision, that I at least passed on to the engineer. And that is there a way that we can develop this running parallel with the improvements of the sewer treatment plant to the east, where ultimately when it comes online, we just come and flip a valve, and now we start pumping all the effluent to the new sewer treatment plant, which I think that plant could probably use that type of flow in the very beginning days. How are we going to do that? Well, we're working with Alstom, and whether we temporarily send some of the effluent to the north that runs parallel with our business plan, or if we leave some of that permanently going north, but somewhere on the site, it does want to all flow southeast, but somewhere on the site, if we could put a lift station in, and speaking to that turning the valve, it's kind of the concept that we're visiting right now. And if that is a plausible vision of mine, we're definitely going to try to bring that to fruition. So at this time, I'm going to call Luke Fricke up and have him talk about the 3 product lines. This is an example of the pool house that we did in Aylesworth, just down the road in Winfield, as well as Rose Garden, Cedar Lake. This last slide here is showing in red on the right side is your comprehensive alignment for Mississippi. And you can see we tweaked that just a little bit to go on the west side of our property. And again, this portion to the north of us, it's not out of the question for that $500 improvement. We are looking financially to see if there's a way that we could also put that in along with this. And what that would do is then give you a second access point in Iowa. This last little piece, and expediting all of those improvements that much quicker by developing this 160 acres. Last but not least is the water line. We will be bringing water from the north at one point with the cooperation with the property owner to the north. It's still there. We propose to come to this property. We're just showing it on the perimeter for now, but most likely we'll fix that through our community. And it's point it's already seen, which shown on the dotted line. That's the water line that's coming from the south to service the treatment plant, which again would then be completely looped on the east side of Crown Point. Okay, Luke.
Good to see you, gentlemen. There are 3 product lines here. The first product being the Medallion. This is one of our highest tiers
of product. It's currently being built at Aylesworth, and it's 50-foot wide on average with a full basement, 3 4-bedrooms with 2-car garage and 3 optional. They range from 2,200 square feet as a ranch and 3,200 square foot 2 stories, with an average sale price of $519. Then the next couple of slides are going to be, these are actually pulled straight from the Aylesworth Winfield website. At the Biscayne at 2,258 square foot, the Bryce at 2,580, the Rainier at 2,758, the San Gabriel at 2,934. Those are all shown as 2-car, but there are 3-car options. And then there's the Horizon. So these are set on 61-foot home sites, and they are 40-foot wide on average, full basements. This is one of our most popular products in Northwest Indiana and across Chicagoland, which they are being built in Kingston Ridge, Aylesworth, Brookside, Swanson Trails, and Iron Gate, in all of those communities respectively. With the smallest plan being 1866 up to a 2,600 square foot 2-story. Also, all 3 4-bedrooms with 2-car garage and a 3-car option, with an average sale price of $429. And then this is our Horizon from Kingston Ridge, which is in Lowell. Sienna, that is the smallest plan, the ranch at 1866. The Meadowlark 2052, Townsend, and the Wren. And for the final product, this is our newest and most efficient product. They're all 30-foot wide. These plans allow us to leverage our buying power because they all share the same truss packages and windows, doors. The idea is efficiency during construction. There's a wide variety of plans. They range from 1,455 to 2,170, and they are again all 3 to 4 bedrooms with 2-car garage, with an average sale price of $377. So here's the Core 30. This is the Coleman with the floor plan on the right. You can see the 3 different elevations: the Aspen, the Broadmoor, and the Davidson, ending at 2,170 square foot. And that's all for product. Thank you, guys.
Can you give your name and address for the record?
Luke Fricky, 937 Iroquois Drive, Crown Point, Indiana.
Thank you.
So with that, we'll go ahead and scroll back to the actual concept plan and open up any questions that you may have. As Todd Leith did indicate, we are here seeking your support. Any comments? I do know, as with any land development, when it's first in front of you, density is a big issue. I strongly encourage you to study the density around these communities, maybe even the ones you live in yourself, and see what the densities are there. It does look heavily dense, but that's because, keep in mind, it is 160 acres. I know you have had larger projects that came across this podium in the past, but this is one of the larger ones in the recent years. Again, it's 160 acres, but the density is only 2.77 units per acre, and that's due to the open space that we're providing here. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I just got one question for staff. What's the, it's zoned agricultural now, but what's the master plan say for this property?
Master plan on this property, if I remember correctly, is actually industrial and business park, but as time has progressed, the city would much rather see this area be residential.
Okay. All right, we'll bring it to the board for questions or comments. Who'd like to go first?
I'll kick it off. You went through a list of homes with pictures, and we got a packet here, and I don't correlate any of the names that I see on what was presented as to what we were shown tonight.
Yes. So when Josh and I were discussing the product prior, we pulled from separate, so what you guys received was some standard product from other communities in Illinois. For the PowerPoint tonight, we had made the decision to pull the product from the communities that are most nearby to us, just for reference for you guys to see what we're actually building in these neighboring communities. Meaning the Medallion from Aylesworth, and then the Horizon from Kingston Ridge and Lowell. So they should they are the same. They are the same product in the sense of the plans. They just might look a little different depending on where they're being built.
And look, again, Luke, you of all people know we've had problems with stuff like this in the past.
Right.
And so we've got to be really careful when we get something and then somebody comes back and says, well, this was just a workshop. We're not going to build that sort of thing. And it would surprise me that either or two of you would pull that. But again, we've got to be careful.
Which goes back to my exact opening statements. I know exactly what you're referring to. So we will take your feedback from this meeting and possibly another meeting, and we'll actually render the homes pursuant to your feedback. So when that PUD is actually finalized, those renderings that are within that PUD will take in all that account, and be part of that ordinance. So you can drive through the community, look at it, and call us out on anything. That's exactly what happens in Winfield and Kingston Ridge. They police that very well. There'll be an anti-monotony clause in that PUD. That's very strict. Sometimes we're stricter on ourselves in the municipalities in some of our communities. That dictates how often that house can be repeated, how often that plan can be repeated, and even goes as far as saying you can't repeat that color right next door.
Okay. When I kind of went over stuff a couple of days ago, a couple of the things that I had. One, I had read an article about nationwide, large companies are buying up houses and then they lease them out. You said these will all be owner occupied. Will that wording be in the PUD?
Absolutely. That's exactly what we did in other flagship communities like Kingston Ridge and municipality assets to put a rental clause in there. Now, we obviously can't restrict the homeowner from going through a hardship or hard times and having to lease their home out. So the way we worded that in the community in Winfield is no LLC can come in and own more than 2 homes. So it hinders from a large company coming in. So it does give the actual home buyer the option to rent it out if for some reason they get into some sort of a hardship. But then we even take that one step further. And in our HOA documents, we also put a percentage of homes that can be leased out, referencing just that situation. Again, we restrict the LLC or the large company from coming in and acquiring 10 to 20 to 50 of them and turning them into a leasing community. But we also govern it as far as the individuals that run them out.
And look, I'm not an engineer, but I like to look at GIS properties. And the property to the east of you is pretty much floodplain, FEMA DFIRM, and you are changing a lot of pervious material to impervious material. And please, you got to get it right. I mean, that's cart before in front of the horse right now, but you got to get it right.
Very proud of the engineers we use. Actually, 2 of them reside in this room. We have Mackey Consultants, who's a specific engineer on this property. We even had Manhard in the room as well for another petition this evening. You and I are no stranger to this, Mike, and I've said it before in my younger days, and I can even say it. We do even a better job now. I could have Madeline speak to actually the way the water flows on the property, but we always go over and beyond and provide more attention than there is, and it's always the emergency overflow you got to pay attention to. And when I hired in with Lennar, my very first week here, I saw the city of Crown Point raising 109th Avenue by Heather Ridge by 5 feet. And I said, what's going on here? And I remember what happened on 93rd Avenue. Remember the subdivision to the north of 93rd Avenue by Ace Hardware? That subdivision never flooded. And all of a sudden it went underwater because they raised 93rd Avenue. They raised 93rd Avenue with improvements, and they never realized that was an overflow. Same thing at 109th, that was an overflow. So the Lennar took it upon themselves to pay for that. We put that culvert in under because we didn't want any problems. So because that overflow was filled, we had to put it in subsurfacely. Yeah. Same thing that happened with that subdivision 93rd. So I'm not sharing that to brag. I just share that to let you know we do pay attention to those things.
So I had, and I guess I have a little concern about the density, but you said in the bigger picture, it's less dense than a lot of the subdivisions we already have in town.
It most certainly is. Luke asked me about the density today and I said, do your homework. We got 4 hours. Let's figure it out. And I did not find one subdivision that has substantially less. I think Pine Hill, the subdivision I reside in, has, what was it, 2.5? And, you know, the adjacent ones are upper 6. And the reason being is you have the hardship of the highway. You know, we obviously are 800 feet from the highway, but basically this property, if any property calls for multifamily, you could make the argument that this would be one of them. As Josh indicated, this is master planned as light industrial, but that's over a decade old. And that's before 231, everything started coming. And, you know, before we started putting our due diligence money into this, that was one of the questions we had for staff is, you know, would you consider residential here? And we were told as long as it's single family, and that's what we're trying.
I certainly appreciate it being single family and not multifamily. And I guess I need to do some more homework on the density and stuff like that. But
I do have a density slide here. So Heather Ridge 2.83. That's the one that Lennar did. That's shown in number 1 at the top of the screen. Number 2 is Edgewater. Actually, Lennar did finish that subdivision out through a different name before they were acquired by Lennar. That was Ryan Homes. Hamilton Square, directly west side of I-65, shown in number 3 is a density of 5.92. Walkerton Point, shown in number 4, is 4.62 dwellings per unit, or units per acre. 5 is Canvas. That one's a little bit less dense. That's the rental community that was developed by Watermark. That's 3.04. And then the Willows, which is Altoff's newest one, correct? Number 6 to the south. I think it's, you can't see because of that. There it is at the very bottom. What's 3.36 units per acre. So again, we are at 2.77.
do you off the top of your head know the density for like Copper Creek?
Copper Creek. So that's going to be a little more dense than Feather Rock. I did when I was with Mr. Hawk, we did Feather Rock, and those were larger half-acre home sites. Took a long time to, you know, there's a market for those. We're going to pace out here at probably 3 months per product. So the duration will be, what's that, 50 months, so a little over 4 years is our plan to get in and out. And there's a benefit to that. There's a benefit for a developer to come in, put these types of amenities in, and turn around and get out as fast as they can, because you're avoiding market conditions. You're avoiding subdivisions going stagnant. You're avoiding burdens that could go on to the municipality. So there's a happy medium there. I would say Copper Creek, we definitely figure that out. Those are 80 by 120, north of 2.5, with probably 0 open space, other than the ravine that couldn't be developed. They do have that nice open space on the south end, but I would say if I had to guess, probably 2.5.
Thank you, guys.
Chad?
I mean, I guess this kind of goes hand in hand with density, but it really does not have anything to do with the density. I do not like the 50-foot lots. I think 60 foot is plenty narrow enough to go. Even looking at some of these renderings and some of the stuff that we had up on the screen, I drive by a subdivision that was started like this, and it's every day back and forth to work, and it's 50-foot lots, and literally the only thing you see on those houses is a front door and a garage door, and that's it. There is no house. You know, maybe it goes deep because it looks like they're a little bit deeper. I think you got them 120 foot deep, but I do not like the 50-foot lots at all. I think 60 foot is plenty narrow enough for us to go to kind of keep the same fill that we have with single family around Crown Point. You know, as far as just the basic concept of it, you know, I like the way the roads are tied in. I like the multiple entrances. I like the landscape buffer around the property. I like the amenities, you know, as far as the pool, you know, and what I suppose we'll get into some of the stickier points if this thing moves forward. You know, are we going to allow residents to have pools, or everybody just going to be pooled at the pool house? You know, I mean, there's some things to think about, but I have a real sticking point with those 50-foot wide lots. I think 60 it should be the minimum width that we go.
I can speak to that, and I do respect that and appreciate that. The product itself would still remain the same that we would propose. we have to generate the revenue here. As I spoke to the utilities offsite, we have a large offsite. I'm not even so sure how we're gonna make that pencil. If the city is excited about this project as I am, with the fact of looping the water main, bringing the utilities from the north, meeting with the utilities from the south, putting effluent into the new sewer treatment plant day one when they turn the switch on, we have to come in here with the different products. So we try to capture in this one 3 to 4 different buyer target segments. You know, there is that medallion buyer, that larger home buyer, but it's not going to pace at 3 a month. There's that middle horizon buyer. We're hoping to get 3 a month out of that. The core will definitely get 3 a month. And the reason why we know we'll get 3 a month out of the core is because we know the interest rates now are 7.5%, 7%. It's not going away. Lennar is obviously able to help assist that. We do come in with many incentive packages where we're able to ease the burden of their monthly payment. But any house out there on the street, you cannot get in it below $2,500 a month. And it's more like $28,000 to $3,000 a month. And we're trying to find that niche in the market that we can still provide that housing for that affordable price. And that's the reason why we're showing that core. And that's the reason why we're going larger homes, medium, and then pushing the larger density towards the highway. It just happens to flow that way. But if we increased the home site size, if it wasn't for the large offsite cost, I could probably sit here and agree to it right now, but if we increased it, we're going to lose that density and ultimately lose that revenue. You know, as I mentioned, Mississippi Street alone that we can't recoup $1 from is over $1 million on the west side. If we're able to find a way to run that street from our northwest corner to 113th Avenue, I already have a verbal from the gentleman to the north that said he'd be interested in dedicating the right of way for us. That's another $1 million. That's just on the road. The sewer alone, probably another $1 million. So now we're at $3 million. And I haven't even touched the pool house yet. Those pool houses run the pool and pool house together. That's 2 million. I'm at 5 million. You know, you could see, and then now let's talk about the offsite improvements as far as Iowa and 121st. You know, it's easy to say we have $6 to $7 million in offsites here. You know, divide that by 456. It's a lot of money. So, and it's things that we're going to talk about in the future as far as how this can all come together. But right now we're here just to get your feedback on the concept. So we'll definitely take that into consideration and see if there's a way we can maybe increase them without losing a lot of the density. But again, the product is more important as well.
I mean, and it's a workshop, right, Todd? So I'm always trying to be honest about this. I would work on that product a little bit. There is nothing about that product that I think, you know, maybe we can make the argument, well, we're trying to just build a cheaper home that we can get people into because interest rates are high and it's a tough housing market. I get it.
We could definitely add some gingerbread to it. We could add brick to it. I just did that at Shorewood. Believe it or not, I got that 30-foot product approved in Shorewood, Illinois. I was told by my colleagues you'll never get it done, and we found a way to make it come to fruition. And we can do the same here.
That's all I got for the moment.
Well, I would agree with everything that Chad said, but I would include that, you know, we need to put Mississippi Street in. I mean, it's not a maybe we'll take a pencil to it. It's got to go ahead.
You're referring to the portion that's on our property.
Probably all of it, you know, well, not all of it, but at least from 113.
Right. That's our goal. That's our goal.
Okay. I mean, and then I'd say Mississippi definitely has to go in.
And the other thing we're doing, obviously, I mean, you're talking about a roundabout, you know, Winfield just put one in. I don't know how large this one would be, but there is consideration from staff that a roundabout would go right there. So we are at least providing right away for it, if and when that would come.
Do you feel that we need to make some improvements on Iowa Street, 121st?
I think that this plan would call for improvements of that intersection. It might be temporary. I don't know how far out your roundabout plan is, but this plan would definitely call
not just a roundabout, the whole street.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, our plan would be to improve the west side of Iowa Street. I think 121st is going to be a complete overhaul.
This one.
Hey, John brought up Mississippi. Great idea, and you guys would be the first to start making it happen, to connect, make it wide enough for a bike path. Because it would take,
it's an 80-foot right away, so you definitely have it there, and that continues through Waterside and continues through Heather Ridge. I think we're the ones that we put it in Heather Ridge.
I mean, that would be a nice amenity right there.
Sure. And our next stop, you know, if this is welcomed, you know, we obviously want to talk to your public works and actually talk to your fire department and see maybe if there's something with cooperation there that they might be excited to listen to as far as additional land for future improvements on their end, if they think there's a need for something out there.
What does that mean?
Satellite fire station.
Oh, okay.
And I would think if we're talking about running the street all the way up to 113th, right, Mississippi, that, and I mean, I get it. If you guys go, we're thinking about it. It's a big dollar sign to do it, but you're probably, if you do that, you're probably going to throw some sort of recapture agreement into that,
Well,
right? That says, okay,
I
if
wish
we
it
don't
would-
eventually develop that property to the north, right?
I wish it was that easy for us. So let's just, since you brought it up, let's speak to it. And again, this is just me thinking out loud. I'm on my 30th year and doing some communities in Illinois, even though it's right next door, it's a whole nother world away. It really is. It's different. But one thing that works successful out there is, as a publicly traded and nationwide home builder, that recapture unfortunately doesn't help us. We can't underwrite it. So we have to underwrite that as a cost. But there's over $14 million in building permit fees out here. Some things that we do in Illinois communities is we negotiate those building permit fees, allows us to take that money, put it towards the improvements, then we'll write the recapture and the city will be the beneficiary of that recapture. So then you guys will always be there and you'll benefit off that recapture. Lennar can use their capital up front. So that's where my mind's kind of going here. But I wanted to first get the concept in front of you. Then we'll wait for Al Stong's report to come in to see if my vision with how we can temporarily serve this and then permanently serve it, and then throw numbers and all that, and then present it to the staff and the council. Yeah, we're not out of the woods yet, but let's get the product and the concept plan at least a warm and fuzzy to move forward, and then we'll really start diving into it. But that's kind of where my mind's going, of how we can bring the utilities in, we can bring Mississippi in from 113th Avenue, and then the city, if there was some sort of a fee reduction, you can capitalize on that in the future as the other parcels develop. I've been doing this long enough, you guys have too. I think that this piece, you're going to really see that east side start to come to fruition. You know, why else are we putting a sewer treatment plant in?
Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I would agree with the comments that have been made. Can you pull up the core, 30 core house? So that 30 core, that right there. And you say you can have a third car garage on that product?
Some of them are adaptable, but most likely these are all 2-car.
I was gonna say, because didn't think that would even.
I mean, we are 85 to 90% inventory builder, fancy term for spec builder. You know, we'll come in and we'll erect all the inventory homes and sell them. But if we do have, you know, market conditions do change. If they change for the better, I mean, look at your larger subdivisions, Copper Creek, as you mentioned, that would never fly in today's, at that pace, it would never fly in today's economy. And those homes out there, whatever they were costing 2 years ago, it's double if you were to just sit there. So for us to go and spec a house with 3 cars on it, if the market's demanding it, we'll do it. But on the core product, they'll most likely be 2-car garages.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I'm not a big fan of that. Obviously, if you pull up the medallion series or that medallion home that you're gonna, yeah, that right there, that looks nice. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I do like the looks of that. But obviously, you're on a little bit bigger piece of land for that, right? That's the.
Yeah, so let me go back to the concept and show you where that's potted out at. That medallion.
Lower right hand corner, yeah.
We did that on purpose, so we drive by those larger homes, the ones that you would see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like how it's all laid out. There's just a lot of what ifs that have to play out. So, I mean, but otherwise, if you could do something a little bit like Chad said on the smaller end homes and make it a little bit more, you know, sexier, I guess, but you know, that's up to you guys.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I'd like to see.
Have you talked to wastewater about the additional sewage from this subdivision until that plant gets put up?
That's what we're working on now.
I mean, do they have capacity for it or?
Well, if it all pans out Do they have capacity for all 456? Most likely not. But if they have capacity for, let's just say permanently 100, then maybe that's 100 that flows from our very north end. And goes temporarily utilize an on-site lift station. And if we surpass the permanent allotment, but temporarily throw some effluent north as the sewer treatment plant's coming online. And then once that sewer treatment plant's there, we'll just flip that valve. So we will be running double force main, but at least it gets us out of the ground, gets us moving. So we have to determine what can go north. We have been told it might just be a matter of upgrading the pumps in the Edgewater 113th and Mississippi lift station, but all that's being studied and paid by us, by the way.
All right, Mr. Rohaley, any comments?
I thought you forgot me. Todd, this is like 456 houses. How many is the density in Aylesworth you just finished up?
You know why it's 456, Dan?
Mm.
It's easy for me to remember. I just turned 48, so
What do you
456.
70?
You asked me how it compares to
Aylesworth with regard to density.
Aylesworth is 515 homes. On how many acres is that? 220? What's that math? 1 second, Dan. 515 divided by 220. 2.4, but I think it's more like 200 acres. So it's similar.
Okay, well, that's what I drove through the other day, and I drive through there a lot, and I think that's a nice subdivision. That turned out really nice. It's a mixture of some patio homes, single family homes. There's no multi-family per se in there, and that probably what's the nicest feature. But you have to realize where we're coming from as a planning commission. We're coming off a rather stinging PUD development that opened our eyes to a lot of things. So unfortunately, we all have our eyes wide open looking at you on this PUD. So you'll have to take the brunt of that.
I think we're both thinking of the same community, and please note that was not a PUD, that was straight zoning. So going back to my opening comments where I spoke about the architecture being negotiated and being part of the ordinance, those meetings that took place here.
I'm not talking about campus.
Oh, okay.
On the 51 foot lots, they're 30 foot wide. They're 30 feet wide is the house. 51 feet across is the width. What's the depth for those?
125.
Okay. So I look at like the patio homes over by Stillwater, and those sold out in no time at all. And I was listening closely to the square footages, and many of those are on like 50. I don't know if there's 60 foot lots in there at all. Those sold out so fast because they were attractive to, and they're not even 125 feet wide, I don't believe. But they're attractive to middle-aged people and new entrants into the market. Not the middle so much, I don't think. But those Stillwater patio homes is how I kind of look at this. And you know, we have Gary Weber, who is a nationally renowned architect and engineer that did developments much like, if you'll look across the city, Ellendale, looks pretty darn good. I think he did a great job on that. So we have somebody that is sensitive to what we're looking for. The whole national housing market has changed. We need to take a look at this and change with it. Otherwise, we're going to be left in the dust, which many people in town want us to be. But we have to grow. We desperately need more north-south arterials. We need that road in Mississippi desperately. The transportation plan, I don't know what year that was. I think your engineer mentioned that we have a transportation plan that I haven't seen in years, but I do recall that Mississippi was a major north-south arterial there. So that if we can work it all with you to get that done. Have you approached the city insofar as working with you on getting Mississippi in and some additional incentives to help that out? That where if you could hold on, if you could offset some of those additional costs on the front end, you might be able to make some of these lots a little bit better on the back end. Have you checked with them?
That is actually our next step. I mentioned that earlier. I didn't want to put the cart in front of the horse. I didn't want to walk in here and be told that, no, this is light industrial. We don't want residential here, because that would have just been a showstopper. But now that I see that it's,
I don't know that that's going to be light industrial. We got light industrial along 231. As a matter of fact, there's even B3 along 231 across from the hospital. There's 14 acres of B3 there.
So now
I don't see it as being a continuation of light industrial. I just don't.
Now that I know that you're willing to entertain the concept as a whole, and it sounds like Mississippi Street is obviously a big component of this, which I had a feeling it would be. Now we'll start penciling those finances, and those requests are probably going to arrive in the near future, but I'd rather have actual numbers.
What is your target market for this development?
Well, in the
everybody?
Well, I'd like to say that, but we do study that. We do actually narrow it down to the exact target buyer. We look at what we're having happen in other communities. There's 3 target buyers here. Obviously, the medallion is going to be maybe people are in my situation. Kids are going away to college. They do want to go into a new home. You know, when you build a home like that and it's readily available, and somebody does not have to wait 6 to 9 months, but they could still get that larger home, they do pace out about 2.5 per month. 40-foot core, that's going to be your families that are with young kids, possibly first time or move up home buyer. And then the 30-foot core, to your point, you looked at our Indari product, which is definitely geared towards the active or age targeted buyer in Aylesworth. I do have another piece of property I'm targeting in Crown Point. I'm sure I'll be back in a few months presenting that one, where I do want to present that Indari age targeted product, but I'm thinking it might even be the first age restricted community in Crown Point. It'll actually be gated. So that's where I'm saving that product to present. Okay. So your 30-foot core here is going to be the young professional, probably most likely without kids, or it could be somebody that downsizes and they decide to treat it as low maintenance and treat it as if they're an active adult. So there are definitely three buyers that we're targeting here, which each have probably 2 to 3 subcategories associated with it.
Those parks are 2.6 acres for one and 1.0 acres for the other one. Those seem kind of small for 456 houses.
In Pool House, and I could have Rich talk to that. And I'll call Rich up here to explain what he sees work and what doesn't work. But I also failed to mention that will all be HOA owned and maintained. And I did mention Lennar was formed in 1954. It's my understanding they have yet to have one community HOA fail. Illinois does have a very unique statute that Indiana does not have, where Illinois has the right to form an SSA. And if for some reason that HOA were to fail, then the municipality can actually assess the homeowners within that community if they had to take it over. We will put language into our documents and our PUD that gives you that power, but we still don't know if it's legally binding. But as far as a developer, we incorporate all those provisions within the document. So if for some reason that were to happen, you have one card to play where you possibly can come in and assess the homeowners and not have to put the burden on the rest of the taxpayers. Well, we've come full circle though, haven't we, Dan? I remember standing up in front of you arguing that I didn't want ponds to an HOA.
Yeah.
Lots changed in 30 years.
Yeah, it has.
We'll own and maintain all those ponds.
I have been trying to put together some of the densities in some of the subdivisions that have been approved in Crown Point. And quite honestly, they're right at 2.5 to 2.75. And we're gonna dig a little deeper. So you've done some of my homework for me, thank you. but we're gonna look at some of these densities of subdivisions with and without multifamily, because multifamily always kicks it up. But it's nice to see that there's a subdivision that does not have a great bulk of multifamily in there, that this is strictly residential. So those are my questions. So if you want to follow up on.
Yeah, I can follow up on Rich Olson, Gary Weber Associates. This central area, and we're going to have to come back with much larger plans so you can really see what's going to happen in this.
So you'll come back for another workshop then to
we're
kind of fine tune this before you submit the PUD and we're all, swimming around here.
Fighting interest rates, Dan. We're coming back with final engineering.
So this whole
Good
area,
luck.
this whole area is 8.5 acres, and this isn't an amenity area where you'd have ball fields or anything. So the water is intentionally placed there. There's a trail system that goes around the water feature, and that's really what it is. It's a connecting feature that will have open water component to it, and that's part of the experience of this large central amenitized space.
So there'll be walking trails around there?
Yes, yeah. So this park down here
Mm-hmm.
will be connected. You can't see it because I should have brought a bigger screen, but this trail winds around this facility and connects the two parks.
Okay.
So suffice it to say, it's noted only as 2.5 and 1, but it's part of that. It's fine. It's part of this 8.5 acre complex that's going to have all the amenities in it, including of course the pool house and playgrounds and features of that type of thing. So that's part of the experience. Is definitely we intentionally put that water there because we wanted it to be part of that feature.
And your transportation plan that you referred to with regard to Mississippi Street, what year was that authored?
Yeah, that shows this.
Yes.
I'm not really sure of the date.
It's in a PowerPoint. Scroll down.
17 or 18, I believe.
Luke Fricky thinks it's 17 or 18 that it.
Oh, with the comprehensive plan. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
I think it's I think you guys got to work on density. I think overall the plan could work if you reduce some of your costs on the front side so that you can make some of the densities a little bit lower. So you're not hamstrung going into it. But I think the plan could work, but it's got a lot of ifs, and I'm not saying that, yeah, go forth and do it, but certainly merits a hard look.
We appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, any other comments from any board members? All right, this time we're gonna allow anybody in the audience that would like to come forward and speak about this workshop. Please do so at this time. State your name and address at the podium, please.
Name is E.J. Hine, 2009 East 121st Avenue. I'd like to thank you folks for giving me the opportunity to add to Lennar's presentation. What they failed to mention to you is that cow barn is 150 feet south of their development. Lennar's property runs from Iowa Street east a half a mile. I sit on 200 acres on the south side of the road that runs from Iowa 3/4 of a mile. We are currently a 4th generation active dairy. We have manure. If you ask somebody, does Crown Point have a dairy farm in city limits, they would laugh at you. Because 121st is a dead end road, we've and able to survive. I'm not trying to stop progress. In Lennar's presentation, they said they'd like to get in and out in 4 years. You folks are going to have to deal with the complaints of the smell of manure and the flies. Those flies will carry a half to 3/4 of a mile from the farm. Me being on the south side, the prevailing winds are south-southwest. We spread manure on all 200 acres. So I just wanted to go on record tonight to state the fact that there are cows on the other side of the road. There is manure on the other side of the road, and there are flies. And if the complaints start, again, it'll be the city council that'll have to deal with it. Because the builders, as they said, they're going to be up and gone in 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I may, Mr. Hine, thank you for bringing that to our attention, and I am aware of it. And the fact that the city's made aware of it, and the city will continue to be made aware of it. Lennar also goes over and beyond with an MBIA. And basically that MBIA, we go out 10 miles. And if there's a cell tower, if there's a church, cemetery, school, all that is brought to the buyer's attention when they close on the home. And that MBIA will definitely call out the fact that there's a dairy farm to the south, and it'll call out that there's odors. Matter of fact, Madeline, even our engineer, said, Todd, have you been out there? Have you smelled it? But her closing, she wrapped it up with, well, I'm a city girl. And I'm like, yeah, I grew up just down the street from here, and maybe I'm immune to it. It is interesting you bring up the flies. I drop my daughter off at school every morning. I thought, what is going on? So, I mean, she's in her second year there because the school's only been open 2 years, but that's the first time I saw the flies, and I'm hoping it's not, 365 days a year. But I'm assuming you do spread manure all year long.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we are aware of it, and obviously we will do what we have to do to protect that in the MBIA and also relieve you from those complaints. But I know I go back to saying we've been doing this a long time. Think about the racetrack. Everybody complained about that. It is progress. It's unfortunate, but we will make sure that it's in that MBIA and that Mr. Hine knows where that's at in there. So if for some reason the complaints reach his level or your level, you can always defer to basically the fine print of the home that they purchase.
Okay. Anybody else in the audience like to come forward and state an opinion or ask a question of the petitioner, potential petitioner? Sure, go ahead.
I'm on GIS, and it looks like to the south and east, and you're probably farming that property, I'm not sure, but you own most of it all around there. But there's a chunk that says Franciscan Alliance owns, and that would be kind of on the north side of 231. Do you have any idea what Franciscan is thinking about that property?
That property belonged to Linda Sons. There's 133 acres all total. Marv Crook purchased it off of Linda Sons. The sisters were afraid that he was going to bring in a hospital like he did on 109th on the Fox property. So they purchased the property from Marv to control their neighbors. Currently, they've been courting me to get my 40 acres that their property dog legs around and want me to trade for the other side of the road. And I just have, I've been at that address since 1963. The house was originally built in 1870, and it's been a farm as all the land in Lake County. 10 years ago, I remodeled the house so that I could die there. The doorways are big, everything's handicapped accessible. Maybe I won't need it, maybe I will. And again, I don't begrudge progress. This is going to happen. The new sewage treatment plant goes in, everything out there is going to, blow apart. What the sisters are going to do with their property, I don't know.
Well, and I don't think we want to do anything that messes with you, you know? Heck, maybe they can start a little 4-H club and you can have kids come over and, you know,
Been there, done that.
there you go.
It's no secret that we are a suburb of Chicago. Anybody that can afford to get out of Illinois obviously is coming to Lake County, Indiana. I love where I live. Within 5 minutes, I can be to 3 hospitals. I can be to any restaurant I want. And as soon as I turn back on that dead end road, you're back out in the sticks. People want to live in the country, but they don't want to deal with the country. And again, all I wanted to do was to go on an official record and state my concerns. So in 2, 4, 6 years, this, whatever the decision is, doesn't come back to haunt me.
I think that's awesome. And I think, you know, you guys need to, you know, let your buyers know that they're going to
If it was
coexist.
industry across the road, light industrial, which is what the master plan has been, and I concede that, the master plan is getting old. Something like that would fly. But soccer moms driving down the road and maybe splashing some manure up on their cars in the winter time, and they go home and they pull in their heated garage and the car starts to thaw, and then it's, oh my God, what the hell did I hit? This is just reality.
Hey, they'll grow some tremendous tomatoes in their yards.
Yes, they do. Thank you.
Back in 2004, I think we did 300 homes on Parish Avenue, back when you break your teeth driving down Parish Avenue, Lindsway, and I'm thinking, everybody's asking, what are you doing? Not only is this 5 miles away from anything, it was Mr. Hawkins' farm across the street, and boy, that smell hit you. I thought, I was 25 years old, I'm thinking, this is never gonna sell. It's amazing that, I don't know if people get used to it. It is a concern, but we will do everything we can, and I will make sure that if this comes to fruition, Mr. Hine knows exactly where to point at in their contract where it says, not only does he spread manure, they will emit smells, and they are well aware of it when they buy. So at least you have something to present back to them.
Okay, anybody, anything further?
Does he want to sell?
No.
All right, well, hopefully with the workshop, you get an idea what we're thinking. I think some things you should take away from this is, I don't know that we're real wild about the 50-foot wide lots. And I think that Mississippi has to go in from 113th to 121st. It's not, it's a must. So, and I'm not trying to upset you or be mean, but my job up here isn't to figure out whether or not you're going to make money. My job is to get this so that it's a valuable and added attraction to Crown Point. So, I wish everybody well. It's the capitalist world, but when you're talking about how much money we're going to make, I just stop listening, to be honest with you, because if it doesn't work for Crown Point, I'm not interested in it.
If there was that much money in it, I wouldn't be standing up here 30 years later. I'll tell you that much. But I've said it before and I'll always say it again. I take a lot of pride in this. I'm very proud of the communities I've been involved in, and I born and raised in Crown Point. But there's no better excitement for me than watching families out there having cookouts or a child getting on a bus remembering when it was a bean field. But no, Mr. Marshall, you're absolutely right. You have a job to do, and I respect it. And that's why I didn't come in front of you with 500 townhomes, because I knew the computer wouldn't even have it turned on. So there's a place for that product, and I know what your vision is, and you guys have been very easy to work with, and I want to continue that. And we'll take back your feedback and we'll work with your staff and look forward to being back and getting the ball rolling. Dan, thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
Don't do too much time on those other densities. I have them if you want them.
Yeah, I might call you. I could cheat off your homework then. Like I normally do.
Anybody else in the audience? I don't want to hijack your.
No, it didn't look like anybody else had anything to say, so.
Yeah. Great seeing you guys as always.
All right, thank you. Very thorough presentation. I will give you that. All right, next item, a new business, 2511 Providence Real Estate Development petitioner, Providence Summer Tree LLC owner. Request is a workshop, single family resident, Summer Tree subdivision. You all know what the rules of the workshop are, so please state your name and address and tell us what you'd like to do.
Hi, good evening. I'm John Carroll. I'm president of Providence Real Estate Development, 200 West 22nd Street, Lombard, Illinois. Also with me for Providence tonight is David Kirk, who's our new VP of Land and Development, as well as Trevor Murphy with Manhart Consulting. I don't recall the address of your office. You can say
333 East Butterfield Road, Suite 600 in Lombard, Illinois.
This is, I guess I would kind of characterize as a follow-up workshop. We were here in September. As you know, we have acquired the balance of the Summer Tree property. Here in September, we talked about what I'd call 5 components of what was remaining in Summer Tree. One was the existing developed single-family lots. Second was the existing developed duplex lots, which there was 7 lots with 14 units there. And then there were single vacant property. There was a 20-acre piece to the south of existing Summer Tree, as well as 2 leave-out parcels, which I'll show here. About 20 acres in there, and then 2 leave-out parcels, one here that was never developed and one here that was never developed, as well as approximately 17 acres in the northwest corner. Okay. Tonight we're here just to focus on the 2 leave-out parcels and this 20 acres to the south. But when we were here in September, we kind of talked about a lot of different things, including what we were proposing or thinking about for the northwest 17 acres. Talked a little bit about the HOA, some other things at the time there. Without getting into a lot of detail about that, we'll let you know that since that time, documentation finalized with Precision Homes, we were able to take over as a declarant on both of the associations that were out there. We had since met with, there's like a steering committee for the single family home. Great and concerns with they were not happy prior management. We addressed that and the follow-up meeting with them in May. So we have a independent professional management company that is managing the HOA for them right now. We're in the early stages because we really just technically our first budget was starting in January, only in April right now. So you know we have some work to do in that regard, but things like the fountains that aren't working right in the ponds and lighting that wasn't right and things like that. We've got a list going and we're working with them on it. So we feel pretty good about that, which we would do anyway. It's in our best interest because we're out there building and developing right now. So I just wanted to update you in that regard. Tonight, we're here to talk about these 3 parcels. As I mentioned, up in here, there's an area that we're showing 3 lots on approximately 2.5 total acres, a fair amount of which is wetland. Original Summer Tree was at one point scheduled to, I think their expectation, our Precision, is they were going to connect that road through over to the east. That didn't happen probably because of the wetlands, etc. It was a long time ago. We weren't here at that time. But it's still sitting there right now. There's a road, there's a dead end street there that really wants to be a cul-de-sac. Okay. Not a lot of room for a lot of lots. So right now we're only contemplating 3 lots to be put on that, finishing that cul-de-sac and putting 3 lots there. This area, this parcel over here is about total of ours is also about 2.5 acres or so, and maybe a little bit more. That is the connection point that Althoff Homes is connecting into their development there. So basically, that road is we reconfigured the parcel in here working with Altoff so that we basically just traded property back and forth between us so that we could wind up with both of us having lots that make sense in front on the street and everything there. So Altoff Homes, I'm sure you're aware because they were here already, are going to be extending that street through. So we'll be coming in with a primary plat just to kind of cross the T's and dot the I's, which will be for those 6 lots. Even though they'll already will have platted a right of way and there already may or may not be a street there already, but it'll be a street going in there. So really, it's pretty simple, but it's just kind of cleaning up that area to provide for that connection. So that would be 6 lots at that location, and then completing this cul-de-sac up here to finish those 3 lots, so that kind of the existing pavement developed lots in Summertree can be completed and rounded out. The other portion that we're talking about here is approximately 20 acres in here, which we're showing 54 lots. They're zoning that already meet the zoning for the property, except they're just single family lots. We are not contemplating anything outside of just the continuation of the product that we're already building in Summertree. We did throw some product into the submittal for it, just to kind of remind you of what we've been building out there. But we did acquire all of the remaining developed lots in here, which we are building on right now. And we're just be another 54. So between the 54 and the 9, we'd be at 63. When we were here last time, there was discussion about accesses, providing somehow another access out of Summertree because there was only 2. Okay. So what we did here is we added an access from what we showed you back in September, positioning that as far as we could away from the existing Summertree access, main access off of Colorado into Summertree, but it would provide another access point in and out of Summertree, which, will probably be mostly limited to the 54 that are there, but it's because there's really nowhere else in the development where it would be probably expeditious to come through here by the time you put in some stop signs or some type of control. But it's 54 less potentially accessing out of the existing entrances that we have there. So we did add that. So really, not a lot to it. Other than that, really, we just wanted to kind of follow back up with it. We're going to be submitting primary plats for all 3 of these parcels here very soon. Probably get the 9 out of the way quickly because Altoff's going to be putting that street in, and we'd like to sort this out. I will say that Trevor Murphy and Manhart Consulting has already met with Christopher Burke Engineering about this parcel up here to make sure that there was detention, etc. We made sure that there's proper detention and that we can put that cul-de-sac in out there without a problem, that we have adequate retention and detention for it. So far less kind of drama and detail than the presentation that you just sat through. I wish I could talk to you about a drive-through lane because we had that many customers, but we don't. But I certainly have to answer any questions that you have, and I'd like any comments if I could from any of the members of the. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bring it to the board for member comments. Any member have any questions, comments? Mr. Roy Haley?
Yeah, I have a couple of comments. Of the petitioner north of 106th Avenue, those lots that line up on Colorado, why aren't those bermed? When I drive down Colorado, I see inside everybody's backyard along there. And the ordinance says that they should be bermed so you don't see in everybody's backyard.
Well, I don't have an answer for that because we bought those lots as developed from Precision and followed the engineering that was priorly approved. If you're talking about, I can't do this for you, but you're talking about in this area right here,
South of 106th.
South of 106, yeah.
The proposed lots that you have now between.
Oh, okay, you're talking about here.
Nebraska Street and Colorado. Now, when I drive down there and you're going to be building those, we're going to be watching really closely that you have a berm there so we don't see in the backyards of those houses. And I don't know why that wasn't done north of 106th.
I don't have an answer for that other than trying to recall those lots on the north side, other than I think from storm sewer in the backyard. I mean, Manhart didn't even do the engineering on that either. I can't tap Trevor for the answer on that. Going forward, we will. I have no problem providing a planted berm along Colorado.
Okay, we'll be watching.
Did you build the houses north of 106?
Yes,
Okay, but it wasn't in the plans that you bought to have a berm.
no.
We have to go back in the record and figure that out, don't we, Josh?
Well, the ordinance says
Well,
you.
it's so long ago, I can't remember what the plan was.
Yeah, I want to say it was, I mean, I know that it was part of the original summer tree. I know that there was engineering happened in like post 2014. I mean, not the engineering, but the actual construction when they put those roads in, it was probably, I think those roads went in 2018, 2019, something like that.
Well, the ordinance is the ordinance, and it provides that any lot fronting on a major arterial street has to be bermed.
And to
So,
Drew Haley's point, it's almost similar to the Dunkin' Donuts thing. It is ordinance, it is required, whether or not it was on the plans, it's still something that has to be done. Unless a variance was granted stating otherwise, they still have to follow ordinance.
that's my only, otherwise, I don't have any other problem with anything. Did you finally close on those streets along California Street in 106th there, or 105th?
Yes, we've closed on all. You're talking about these in here? Oh, sorry.
Pretty hard to see on,
Yeah, in here, the 6 lots.
yeah.
Yeah, we completed our transaction with Altoff on that. It was really just a land swap. There was no, I think the deal was $10 or something to keep it legal. But we swapped properties there to provide a through street that makes sense and lots that are shaped correctly. And
Okay, I was just wondering.
yeah, came out well.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
They were great to work with.
Okay, any other member have any questions or comments for the petition?
Yeah. Okay, the 6 lots here on California,
Yes.
it looks like at least 5 of them are in floodplain.
They're part of an overall flood mitigation that is being handled by Altoff Homes. Okay, they within their engineering, they've accommodated flood storage and mitigation for that whole area, including our property.
Compensatory storage, Mike.
That's compensatory storage. That's correct.
Okay, all right. I'm just, it's still showing up on.
Yeah,
GIS
it will
that way.
until they
Yeah, it will.
work and as built it and complete their detention, it will continue to show that way.
So I'm just curious, we also got this page, which is all of the area going north to 101st. We're not discussing any of this tonight. Okay, okay, all right.
You know, that, although Precision still owns that property, we don't have it under contract and we haven't had any discussion with
Okay.
them regarding that property.
Okay. You guys, you know, I ask about rental homes and the other one.
Right.
Any controls you guys can put in there on that? And
Well, we also have language that states limitations on percentage and more importantly, also how you can prevent, that changing. Now, again, the likelihood of once, we're obviously a single family for sale builder. That's what we're doing out there right now. That's our current neighborhood. This is not in the grand scheme of things, 450 lots, so we pretty much know we're going to be using them up here pretty quickly. But also just to, to keep tabs on the number of rentals overall.
okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Chad?
Yeah, I mean, John, just the one thing, I mean, to be clear, so in the application, and I know that these renderings aren't always true to form, right, when they get put together, but it's showing that all these lots are going to be R1.
Yes.
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 So everything's R1 and that new proposed 26 acres, 23 acres, whatever.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. That's all I have.
Rich?
No questions for me. Everybody's addressed it. So.
I feel the same way, so.
Okay. Thank you all for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you do.
All right, Next order of new business, 25-12, Timothy and Nancy Briggs. Petitioner owner requests a workshop for an office building at 700 West Burrell Drive.
Good evening. My name's Tim Briggs. I live at 3437 West 136 Lane in Crown Point. I represent the Briggs Agency, which is a small independent insurance agency, as well as the owner of the land, which is currently my wife and myself. In question, this land is in the Feather Rock Professional Office Park, which is kind of between Court Street and Cedar Lake Road. We purchased the lot number 2 in the fall of last year. It's approximately 3 acres. And our business has moved from, we were in Gary for 40 years and Merrillville for 40 years. And we've just recently moved to Crown Point in a temporary location on Cedar Lake Road, kind of around the corner from this property, which we're leasing. The reason is our building in Merrillville was sold at the end of last year. So what we're hoping to do is to get your approval to 2 things. The land is approximately 3 acres. We hope to re-subdivide it into 2 parcels. The parcel to the east would be 1 3/4 acres with about a ½ acre of wetland. And that's the parcel that we want to build our office building on, so that'll be our home for the next 40 years. Parcel to the west would be 1.2 acres. And we don't have any immediate plans for that. As far as development, we develop it ourselves or sell it or just keep it. I have our engineer, Abbott March from Valparaiso, Laura Brown here. She can help me with some of the more technical questions that you probably are going to have. And my son, Andrew Briggs, in our insurance agency. So that's where we stand. That's why we're here, to see how you feel about it.
Okay, well, thank you, sir. I'll bring it to the board for any questions or comments.
Well, I'll state that, start off with, this is, obviously we're starting to have a little bit of development here in this corridor, which is nice to see. And I think, your business model would fit right in with what we already got a medical building there to the west. I think we're gonna have another medical building across the street. There's a lawn care, if the lawn care is still there at the beginning, at the entrance.
There's an assisted living.
Yeah, and that's
facility
new as
there.
well. So
Also,
I mean, to me, it seems like a good space for this, and would fit nicely into what we're trying to do there. So let us hear coming to Crown Point.
We're thrilled.
Yeah, I would agree with Rich completely. I think your business fits in that place exactly, and you just don't need 3 acres to put up an office building. So I think your plan is sound, personally.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, you know what? I had fond memories of being a kid, and when we'd go to Gary, we'd walk over to Washington. Weren't they on Washington and there was a sports store right by them? Now we got Crown Point kids can walk over and they'll have memories of going to the Briggs Agency. I read on the paper that you do have a little bit of wetland on that far east corner, and it says you're going to leave it in undisturbed.
Absolutely.
I guess I would just ask, let it be wild, let it overgrow, let it be, let the raccoons have a spot, you know.
That's
sort of
exactly
thing.
what our plan is.
Okay, that's all I got. Welcome. Welcome to Crown Point.
Thank you, Mike.
Chad?
I mean, I think everybody's said it all. It seems like a perfect fit for the business there. You've got a nice little layout of how it's all going to tie in. Once again, you're talking an 80+ year successful business. So we're glad that you came to Crown Point. I think it's the right spot, the right fit for your building there. So good luck and hope to see it site plan.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rayla?
This is exactly what was intended when Mr. Hawk platted this, that those lots on the north end of Feather Rock were office, medical type uses. And I know the Briggs family for over 50 years. My first job was delivering title commitments in downtown Gary at 7th and Washington. Didn't know what they were. They just said, go there and smile. And that's what I did. And they've always been a solid member of the community. And I'm happy to see you come to Crown Point. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else with any comments? Well, it is a workshop, so hopefully you have a feeling. I would probably work on making this happen, to be honest
Okay.
with you. I don't think we have any problems with you.
Well, I
whatsoever.
appreciate it. That's exactly what we were hoping to hear. So,
Right. And if you have a drive-through, make sure you got at least 12 or 15 cars stacked, all right?
Yeah, make sure you have pink shingles too.
Yeah. And you put a bike rack in with a light.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
all right, next item of business is miscellaneous plan commission business. Does anybody have any miscellaneous business they would like to talk about? Staff?
Real quick, just same broken records as it's been the past few meetings. Just a reminder, Thursday, May 29th is the 2025 ethics training for board and commission members. It is a free training. If you're interested in going, I will gladly sign up for you. Please let me know.
Yep. The only thing is, I'm sitting next to Josh, so there's only one seat beside him on the other side.
Signed up.
What day of the week is that?
Thursday.
That is a Thursday. Yeah, it's from 5:30 to 8:30 at Avalon Manor in Maryville. But yeah, you got it. Hey, Chad, we
Anything?
talked already, so we're good.
Any other miscellaneous business? All right, looking for a motion to adjourn.